Well, I'm Keith Spera from NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune. Welcome to Let's Talk. My guest today has worked with everyone from U2 to Prince to the Foo Fighters. He spends his summers filling amphitheaters around the country with the music of New Orleans. He's the main stage closing act on the final day of the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival, and he's almost single-handedly made the trombone cool again. He is Troy "Trombone" Shorty Andrews. Troy, welcome to Let's Talk, man.
Thank you, Keith. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Let me ask you this. When you walk out on stage on that last day of Jazz Fest and you look out over 20, 25,000 people, what's going through your brain right before you go out there and right when you hit the stage?
Right before I get out there, it's an incredible feeling because I'm home, so there's a bunch of family that don't get to see me perform only until they see me at the Jazz Fest, and then there's people that's there. Some of them never heard of us because they came before the band, for the band before us, but some of them have seen us around the world and wanted the opportunity to see me play on my home turf. So it's a lot of exciting emotions going on, but also just memories of playing with the Neville brothers.
Yep.
And closing that out. So to be able to do that, I'm holding a lot on my shoulders, but keeping it going forward. But it's all excitement for me.
Do you get nervous at all for a gig like that?
No, I've been playing so long since I was a kid. I don't think I get nervous. I might get anxious because I might have to remember some lyrics, and I just think about that particular thing. But getting nervous, no, not at all. We've played in all type of occasions, from funerals to backyard parties, and I never had a chance to think about that. So I'm actually more nervous when I don't have my instrument in my hand. Yeah, it's a strange thing, like if I have to go speak or something like that and I don't have my horn. I guess, I don't know if it's nerves, but anxiousness, because I got to have my horn. But other than that, I don't get nervous, no.
How you doing right now without a horn? You okay?
I'm hanging in there.
All right. You know, you were on the front page of the Times-Picayune the day after your performance here. I don't know if I'll hold it up for the camera so everybody can see it. You know, it's like, there he is right there, living large. Does that make you kind of proud to see yourself on the front page like that, representing the Jazz Fest and the music of New Orleans on your hometown paper?
Absolutely. I'm always proud to be able to represent New Orleans. It's bigger than me. I'm just a representative of this great city. So to see something like that and to keep the city alive musically and show some positivity is always a proud moment for me. Not that it's me on there, but what I represent, the culture, the city. Sure.
You know, it's a surprising statistic here. You told me once that you've never taken a true vacation.
Still, I don't know what that feels like, but we've been talking on the phone, and I'm working on it this year, and I promise you it's going to happen. I'm trying to see where I'm going to go.
So you've never just gone like chilled at the beach for a week or anything like that?
No, most of my things always happen maybe if I'm playing in Miami or something, I might stay an extra day or go a day before and get that. Whenever we play at any place for 2 days, that's considered a vacation for us. But other than that, I have never been on a vacation. But the other day I flew somewhere and I didn't have to bring my instrument. And when I woke up on the plane, I was looking in the cabin above, and I was freaking out because I didn't have my instrument, but I forgot that I didn't bring it. I'm just so used to it. But I'm working on that soon.
Now, is that just because you like being busy, or you have so much to do and you're kind of taking all the opportunities as they come right now? Or, you know, why? Because most people, you know, when they achieve a certain level of success, as you have, they're like, okay, I'm going to slow down for a minute and enjoy it. But I mean, does that not appeal to you then?
I don't know if it appeals to me yet, because I feel everything that we have accomplished and everything that we've built, I still feel like I haven't done a lot. So when opportunities come, I feel like I have to do it because we can continue to build. But I haven't really thought about it, you know. Yeah, I haven't put much thought into that. But whenever I've been working so long that's just natural for me. Being still is a problem. That's foreign to me. So, you know, during the pandemic and things, it was a weird situation for me. But I took that as this is the time to rebuild and get our strength back up and rethink and take a chance to relax. But other than that, I haven't really thought about it. But you got me thinking about it, and now that is on my mind, I'll make it happen.
I expect to get a postcard from Cancun or wherever you end up. So how many dates do you average a year now that you're back into it and you have post-pandemic? How many shows would you guess you play a year?
Anywhere between 150 shows to 200 shows.
The vast majority of which are on the road, obviously. So you travel. That's your daily existence, just about. So getting on a plane and flying to France for fun, doesn't necessarily.
No. I think sometimes when I get a chance to just chill at home and I don't have to travel, that's more exciting to not, like I always tell people, we perform for free, we get paid to travel.
There you go. You
But it's,
perform for free, you
yeah,
get paid to travel.
Yeah.
I
So
like it.
just doing that. I mean, we've flown to Australia recently, and we've actually when we go to Paris, we went there one time just to play a TV show and got back on the plane to come back to be able to fulfill a date that we had in America, but we couldn't pass up that opportunity. It was a big TV show there and to help us out. So we actually do some weird traveling things and get right back at it. So
So you didn't even spend the night in Paris, you're saying?
I think we may
spent
have
one night.
We flew there, got off the flight, had a few hours, went to film the TV show, and went to sleep until maybe 7 hours and got back on the flight to get back to America.
Oh man, yeah, that's work.
Yeah, it's work.
That is work.
So
yeah.
we do 150, 200 shows on the stage. So the traveling thing, we may be gone for 300 plus days because that we have to get to certain places.
Sure. So it's a rarity when you're in town.
Yeah,
That is a vacation. Yeah. To maintain that schedule, I mean, obviously is difficult. To do that much travel. I mean, you've got to keep yourself in good shape.
Yeah.
But you've never really drunk alcohol or any of that stuff, or smoked cigarettes or anything, right?
No, I've never drank alcohol. I don't smoke. I've never been interested in it, My friends gave me a shot one time because it was New Year's, and I just can't see how people drink that stuff. I've never been interested in it, but, some people, my friends, I'll get them a few drinks and laugh at them after a few hours, but I've never had any interest in it.
Now, is that partly because you see that as an impediment to what you want to accomplish, that in order to do what you do, you've got to be on point all the time? I mean, or is it just a matter of personal taste and you think it's disgusting?
Yeah, it's just personal taste, and a little bit of that, what you're saying too, because I've seen people my age and older than me that we look up to that haven't reached their full potential or even touched it or see what they can become because that type of stuff has slowed them down. But personally for me, I had never had an urge to want to try it or indulge into it. So we have two things. It's just personal because it's not appealing to me, and then I've seen what some of it done to some other musicians that I thought could be further in life than they are, but that put a little roadblock on them.
Now, is that, and that's, to come to that conclusion as a young man, I mean, early on, that shows a certain, I think, maturity in the way you thought. I mean, was there someone that impressed that lesson upon you, or was that just something you kind of came to your own conclusions by observing the world around you and saying, okay, I'm going to stay on this path as opposed to this path?
Yeah, it was mostly my own conclusion. I was right next to people, and I've seen them go from being respected to people when they walk in the room and they're like, oh, this guy. And I just never wanted to feel that, but may he rest in peace, Papa G, who was like a grandfather, told me, if you ever wanted to do that, you should know this lesson. Don't let it control you, you control it. And I asked him, I said, well, I'm pretty sure a lot of people went into it like that and then they become addicted to it and it becomes a different thing. But I've seen different family members and things, I've seen it tear them down. But mostly, I just don't have a taste for it, yeah.
Gotcha. Louis Armstrong, one of the pivotal moments in his career, or his life, was when he was arrested as a young man, went to the Colored Waifs home. That's where he learned, to really kind of hone his trumpet skills, and that was a turning point in his life. You kind of had a similar experience as a young man.
Yeah.
Is that what was the story? You got busted for, of all things, playing music.
Playing music, yeah. I think this was late 90s, 96, 97, somewhere around there. But I think they had put in the noise ordinance thing in the French Quarter, and I remember we were playing. Some of the older musicians kind of hipped us to it, like if we see the police, bring the volume down. So I remember that. But this particular day, we were playing in front of the Cabildo. We were sharing spots with some of the older musicians. And they actually walked under the Cabildo with the decimal reader, and they say that we were playing loud. But we were already hip to, whenever we see them, to bring the volume down. But they went under there. If you go under the Cabildo and clap, the echo is loud. So when you go under there, if you even shout or say something, you can hear it amplified. So they went under there with the thing and told us that we had to stop, and then they put us in the back of the police car and drove us downtown. And by the time we got there, Mary Howell was there, our
attorney.
lawyer, the attorney.
Uh-huh.
And so we didn't spend too much time. We walked in and we walked out because they had to call it a protection arrest because we were so young. But our parents were there to pick us up. And I was just thinking about that moment a few weeks ago because we had real friends and different people that was doing, on their way to doing bad things at that age. And we could have fell into that, but this music, we were always so excited to play music that it guided us to go just learn from Tuba Fats and James and different people in the French Quarter. So it really wasn't about busking for us. It was really that we learned the music and we wanted to be like the people that was in our family. So that was our way of copying them and idolizing them. But I was just wondering if we would have let that police car that day scare us, then we wouldn't be here speaking with you right now. So myself, Travis Hill, the late Travis Hill, my cousin, Glenn David, Sammy, and Dwayne Williams. It was us three, us five in the police car. But I do remember when they took us from there, some type of way we got to the French Quarter on Royal Street. They took us from there downtown, and I just remember the police guy asked us, did we need a saxophone player?
Wait, the police officer was trying to pitch himself to be in your band?
Yeah, to be in the band, yeah. He was being sarcastic one way or the other, but it was just a weird thing. So I'm just glad that we didn't allow that police car to scare us because we were doing something positive, and we knew people in the neighborhood that was finding the wrong streets to go down.
No, and so it kind of, in a way, it crystallized your resolve to play music. Like you made a decision, like you said, is this going to scare me off from doing this, or is this going to show me that I am truly committed to this music and this lifestyle? And that's the decision you went.
That's the decision, yeah. So even after it happened, we wasn't afraid of anything. We just didn't know it would happen again, but we were out there the next day.
Yeah.
We had to go back to get our instruments because some of the older musicians had to watch it while we got in the car. So we had to go back out there, and if I'm not mistaken, we could have played another set, or we left because we had to get our instruments, and by that time it was late. But yeah, it crystallized that and let us know that we were going to play music for the rest of our life. We didn't let anything deter us, you know.
It's always amazing to me when people, because obviously that incident was out of your control.
Yeah.
I mean, that was just something that happened to you, but these things happen that are clear, pivotal moments in people's lives, that aren't necessarily even planned. And that was one for you. And I mean, like I said,
Yeah, that's definitely one, yeah.
Look where you are now, running all over the world playing this sort of music.
Representing the city,
Representing the city. You put out a record last year in 2022 called Lifted. I've got the cover of it right here. Yeah. Whose decision, well, I'll back up. The photo that's on the cover, it's you as a very young man with your mom.
And this is my middle school teacher right here. His name was Joe Tarragano.
Okay, on the side of the photo? Okay.
On the side, yeah.
It's a Michael P. Smith photo. Whose idea was it to put this photo on the cover of the record?
The record label, Blue Note, the university, kept telling me that I needed to take some pictures, and I just wasn't feeling it. I didn't have anything in mind. And one of my friends gave me a mug with this picture on it, and then Dave, my manager, sent the same picture. So it was kind of like popping up. And when I looked at it, we already had a title, Lifted. And when I looked at the photo, I'm like, well, this is impressive because coincidentally, it just works with the title because she's actually lifted me up, my mother. So I saw it, and I just wanted to know if they can make it look a little clearer than when we had it. Because it was kind of, I don't know how they did it to make it look like that, but it was a bit old looking, and they did it, and when they sent it back to me, I was like, that's it.
That's it. No, it's a beautiful cover, and you're right, the symbolism of it is great, and the fact that your mom's literally lifting you up is pretty remarkable. Did she had passed before this record came out, though?
Yeah, she passed right before it came out, but it was done. It was finished when she was alive with us, and then she passed away. Most of it was finished. I was still doing some vocal tweaks here and everything, but she passed away, so she didn't get a chance to see it. But it's all over the world now.
So she didn't actually see the cover, the finished cover then?
No, but she didn't see the finished cover, but she had this photo in the house. But
Okay.
it just didn't have Trombone Shorty lifted on it. But that photo is in the house, and she had it on the refrigerator, and we just decided to use that.
That's it's a beautiful tribute to, ended up being a beautiful tribute to her as well. So yeah, so she actually was living with you toward the end, right?
Yeah. She was living, or I was living with her. I don't know. I don't know. We hung out and played music. And during COVID, she had bought me a piano from the church down the street. She called me and she said, I'm gonna get you a piano. I'm like, Ma, I have a full studio with like organs and piano, keyboard, everything that I can think. I'm like, we don't need it, you know? And she wouldn't listen. I said, we're gonna have to get it tuned. So I was on the road, I was somewhere, and she called me. When I got home, she had the people from down, because the church is only about a few houses away. So she had the people to stroll it down the street and put it in the house. And come to find out, during COVID, I wasn't playing my horn as much because of the breathing thing, I don't know. And I was playing the piano, and she just walked by and said, I thought we didn't need it, you know? So she taught me a lesson.
Mom knew best.
She knew best, that's right.
Well, and yeah, y'all, and she was a culture bearer in her own right.
Yeah.
I mean, she was involved in a lot of things. And growing up, you know, you were with her for a while, and then you moved out for a while as a young man too, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
and that was partly just to kind of, I don't know, just what was it about? What was going on in your life at that time when you moved out when you were a young man?
Well, you know, I've been on tour straight since I was 18, 19, so I wasn't thinking about it. So when I went on tour with Lenny Kravitz for 2 or 3 years straight, I just got an apartment in the French Quarter. I think it was partly because we were returning from Katrina.
Okay.
And she was still in Texas with my grandmother, so I had to get the apartment on my own. And so when she came back, she stayed with me in the French Quarter for a while, and then we got our house in the Treme. And so that kind of happened. It was just Katrina separated us a little bit. I was on tour, and then when I wanted to get back fast, she was still out there, so I had to move accordingly.
Okay, all right. And even as a young man, didn't you live with another family for a little while when you were a young man as well?
Yeah, I lived with Susan Scott. May she rest in peace, the Scott family. So I was living in Treme and on the Bayou, Bayou St. John by City Park. Because I went to Gregory Junior High School, and that school was just down the street from that house. So I would go there, then I'll be in the Treme some nights. So both families, yeah.
And that was another kind of formative thing for you.
Yeah.
You were having influence of other families and being exposed to different things, all that.
Yep, because they wasn't from New Orleans, they were from Atlanta, and they had a different mentality than us. But I'm forever grateful for that family, because they knew that I can play music, but their most important thing for me was education. So I had private tutors and different things to make sure that I was up a par of playing the music, but also I had private trombone teacher too, who played in the Louisiana Philharmonic Orchestra. Greg Miller was my teacher, but they focused on education, and that was formative for me, because sometimes in Treme, the music can overpower everything that we can kind of slack over here. But that family taught me that education was important. I had to read books and read the newspaper. Things, you know, as a kid, I wanted to watch basketball and go play the brass band, but they made sure that, and I'm very, very appreciative for that, because it helped me out during this time. At that moment, we don't know how important it is, because we just want to play video games, but now it's very important that all the kids understand that reading and education is very important.
Well, and you're kind of paying that forward via your foundation, the Trombone Shorty Foundation.
Yes.
Is very involved with education and giving kids lessons. So I mean, that's a result, really.
It's a result,
This foundation is kind of a result of the lessons you learned back then.
Absolutely. We just wanted to pass that information along, because we have a lot of young brass band musicians or musicians in town that doesn't, like I said, they can get caught up playing music, but not understanding the other side, that they have to at least be able to read through the contract, even if they don't understand the words. That's why we got lawyers for that, but you should be able to touch it and understand enough on your own to ask the proper questions and highlight them different things. So we're just passing it along and giving the kids an opportunity to understand everything musically, from the music business to music production to playing, because not all of these kids are going to continue to play instruments.
Sure,
Some of them will probably be writers, you know,
if they make poor choices,
if they
yes, they'll be right. But anyway, but right, but it's the lessons that are applied no matter what they do in life.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's the discipline and the lessons, because with music, things that I've learned through music, the discipline, it has helped me in life also to be disciplined in certain areas. So it's a great foundation for any kid that want to play music. You learn different lessons that'll be applied throughout life.
When your mom passed, you know, I saw pictures from the funeral, and there was a remarkable image of you at the second line, I believe, dancing atop her casket.
Yeah.
Which I think goes back, because if memory serves, I remember there was a similar picture of her. You lost a brother many, many years ago, right?
Yeah.
There was a similar image, I think, of her dancing on your brother's casket. So talk a little bit about that tradition, because I mean, you know, I'd never seen that until I started going to, you know, some of these second line funerals and stuff.
Yeah.
What is behind that gesture? What does that gesture mean to dance on a casket like that?
Well, you know, my first time seeing it was my mom did it for my brother Darnell Andrews.
D-Boy, right?
Yeah, D-Boy, yeah. I don't know why she did it. I think we were parading through the Lafitte Project. He was by my grandmother's house walking around when he was murdered out there. So, you know, part of the connection is that we go to the spot and we celebrate life where he was last living. And I think there was thousands of people out there, and I don't know if somebody told her to get up there, they just pulled her up there. So for me, I was just paying tribute to her for something that she created, as far as I know. So I don't know what it was behind it, but that's what that was for me, just paying tribute and keeping her tradition alive for something that she did.
No, that's an amazing gesture. You know, and again, that's what kind of, you know, that's what you do, is you are keeping traditions of New Orleans alive while also bringing them into the current era, the contemporary era. I mean, you know, because I think I've described it this way: you're from New Orleans, you're of New Orleans, but you're not bound by New Orleans.
No,
you don't have to limit yourself necessarily.
That's right. I look at music and different experiences as a world. So when I'm able to share the stage with country musicians or the Foo Fighters or people work with Pharrell Williams, I'm soaking that in as a sponge. And I think, even though I think a lot of music is influenced from this great city, I get to go play with people that's influenced from New Orleans, but through their own interpretation, which is all the way different, and I bring that back, you know. So I think part of the success is being able to play on different stages and understand different styles of music. And that's very important to me, because I always want to learn, and I love being placed in situations that people don't think that we're supposed to be in, like playing the trombone with Zach Brown or different things. Like, it's intriguing to me. You know?
Or playing the trombone, or was it trombone and trumpet that you put on the U2 song? On
both.
It was both.
Yeah.
For folks that don't know, U2 did a record that came out this past year where they remade a lot of their classic songs, and you and several other musicians were on Red Hill Mining Town.
Yeah,
I think
Red
it was,
Hill Mining Town.
From the Joshua Tree record. Yeah. Well, who did you talk to make? Was that The Edge telling you?
Yeah, The Edge. Well, you know, since Music Rising, we've been friends for 15 years now, I think, however long it's been since Katrina. And we stay in contact. I go see their shows sometime, and we talk on the phone and text sometimes. And Bob Ezrin, who produced some of the album, or produced the album, he reached out and said, I have a track that we're working on, and I'd love for you to put the horns on. He does that all the time for different artists. And they sent it to me, and I was able to send it back either the next day or the same night. And so that worked like that. So myself and the Edge and Bob, we close family.
Awesome. It's a good friend to have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of good friends, John Batiste, you guys' interaction at the 2023 Jazz Fest was a lot of fun. Both the two of y'all got up during Mumford & Sons set and guested with them, and then John came out on your set. He seems like a guy, and y'all both went to NOCA.
Yeah.
So you have history. Were y'all there at the same time?
Yes.
Yeah.
He actually started in my band.
That's right. I remember that now.
Yeah, he started in my band. I used to have to drive out to Kenner, and you know, I had to lure him out the house with, like, I bought him a Alicia Keys CD, and I was like, let's go, you know, because he loved Alicia Keys music and her. But we actually hang out and talk on a regular. You know, not as much as we like to, because we're both busy, but he helped me start this band. We would play at the Maple Leaf and the Blue Nile and Cafe Brazil and different things as kids. But that was, I think, if I'm not mistaken, that was probably our first time on a Jazz Fest stage together since probably right at Katrina, maybe. But we have jammed and played around the world together, but not at home at the Jazz Fest in a very long time. So it was a lot of excitement.
Does so? In other words, you help push his career. Then you definitely, by luring him out with that Alicia Keys CD, you know he owes you.
Yeah. I mean, well, you know, we helped each other. We
go.
challenged each other. You know, I remember I would teach him things on the piano. I'd be like, check this out, and he'll just get it right then and there. And then he would do the same to me. But we are definitely fans of one another, and we uplift each other all the time, and talk. But he's an incredible musician. And we talk, and I mean, sometimes back in the day, we had a teacher, Miles Wright. He would call both of us and leave. He would play the piano and leave it on our voicemail and tell both of us not to call him back until we're able to play it. So John and myself would learn it, and then we'll call him. He wouldn't answer the phone, and we'll leave it on his voicemail. And then he'll call us, and then we can talk about long-form composition and different things for many hours. But yeah, John, he's an incredible person, and we love him, and we're real brothers, and we talk and help each other out all the time.
No, his rise has been great to watch, you know, as of yours over the years. So I hope you guys are able to maybe do some more of those type collaborations.
We will. We actually, after Jazz Fest, we hung out at my studio, and we went to walk around and eat, and we got. It's crazy. It's like we haven't stepped away from each other. Even though he's touring, I'm touring. We got in the studio and we just was talking, and then some type of way we found our way to the drums and the trumpet and the piano. And we must have jammed, the two of us, for 2 hours. His wife left us. Yeah, I remember we were in there, we were jamming, and I said, man, I got to get some water. And we didn't realize that his wife and her friend was gone. I was like, man, we might get in a little trouble. We gotta, you know, but that's just the love that we have for one another, and the music that we share. It's just a wonderful thing. So we got a lot more planned to do together. We're just throwing some ideas out to one another, and it's just wonderful. I'm so proud of him, and he's doing wonderful to represent the city also.
Yes, he is, as are you. I can't wait to see future collaborations at you guys, and I hope you finally take that vacation you've been talking about.
Yeah, we will. We will.
All right. Well, Troy, this has been great, man. I really
you.
appreciate you coming on the show and doing this. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you for having me.
You bet, man.
I'll see you around.
You bet. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time on Let's Talk.